Welcome to our discussion about the Divining the Earth Feminine course that I'm launching next month. And it's to get Earth Energy certification. And thank all of you who were active on the Facebook page, helping me to select the right name for this program. It was an overwhelming vote for Earth Energy certification or practitioner certification. So that was really fun. I appreciate it. So I figured this would be a really good venue, and I know a number of you said you were not able to make the live calls. So I'm glad you're at least listening to it, and will hopefully answer some of the questions you might have. So let me just start with a few things, and I want this to be participatory, so whoever is on the call, please, jump in and ask questions. But I really wanted to start with a little bit of a story about where I'm coming from with Earth Energy. So it starts back in 2003, and I was on a journey already with my dreams, doing some journaling of my dreams, which were giving me tremendous insights during a really transformational time in my life. They were absolutely key to my sanity at the time and helping me uncover what I'm supposed to do and where I was going, even in personal life. And okay, sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So one morning I woke up with this remembrance of what I call the deer dream. And I wrote about it in my book, Creating Luminous Spaces, which some of you may know about. This dream, I had no idea what it meant. I was very confused. But basically the dream was I was living in an urban environment. In fact, it felt like New York City. It felt like I lived in a townhouse with a beautiful park square in the middle of townhouses. So as you can imagine, a very beautiful area of an urban environment. And I was happy and joyful and jumping around in the dream. And then all of a sudden I heard some cries, and I looked out my door and was horrified by a scene with a bunch of male teenage disadvantaged youths beating up a deer in the square, in this park. And I yelled to them and very indignantly, and then they started coming after me, so I just about closed the door in time. And the next scene, I'm in the mayor's office, and there's an angel. Now, at this time, I had very little patience for angels. I mean, I was raised Roman Catholic, and I felt that I was, throughout my life, was, well, I went to 13 years of Catholic school. So I think that says it all. I had enough with angels and, and the Christian way of thinking. No offense to it, but it was just kind of forced down me for my whole life. So I was not at all interested in angels. So there was an angel in the dream, and the angel was just kind of sitting on the windowsill. No one else could see the angel except for me. And there was an older gentleman who was representing the disadvantaged youth. And we were kind of having this three-way conversation, the three of us, the mayor, the gentleman, and myself. And we were trying to figure out what the problem was. And basically, I guess, the angel inspired me to ask this question. And I said, how far do you have to go to see a tree in your neighborhood? And the older gentleman started yelling, I have to walk 5 blocks to see a tree. And all of a sudden he stopped and I stopped, and we went, that's the problem. So I woke up from this dream going, what am I supposed to do? Work for New York City in urban planning and plant trees? I mean, what does this mean? And just to explain, at the time I was working in marketing. Okay. So I was just like very confused. What kind of message is this for me? It took me really a long time, years and years, to kind of remember this dream, because I journal my dreams, which is really, really important. And I highly recommend anyone listening to this, if you don't already, start journaling your dreams. I date them, and I have a whole methodology and I spend time interpreting them. But at the time I had no idea what this meant. So when I was writing my book, this dream came back to me and I went, wow, this dream has a piece of very significant information for me here that I can understand now. And I went looking through my journals, my stack, pile of journals, notebooks, pretty much. And I said, where is this dream? Where is this dream? And I pulled the dream out. And there were two things that were significant about the date itself. Okay, number one, it was my mother's birthday. And just a little information. My mother had just passed away the year before. And I started getting significant dreams from her around our birthdays. So my son's birthday, my birthday, her birthday. Okay, so this was on her birthday. And the second thing that was so significant, and it took my breath away, because I even wrote it in the margins that day or the next morning, I had just been laid off from my job in marketing. I get chills when I think about it, but it was an expected layoff as well as not expected. I mean, there were rounds of layoffs every few months at my job. So my department was whittled down to nothing. I was one of the last to go. But it's still, if anyone's been through a layoff, it's always a shock. So it was such a shock. And I went, now what? And I had been on this path of looking for something that fed my soul more than my marketing work did. Nothing wrong with the marketing work. It fed my soul for so many years. I loved it. But I got to a point where it just wasn't happening anymore. So anyhow, so this dear dream comes back to me now as I'm thinking about this program. And I think about, I went from that to floundering for several years, not knowing where I was going to wind up, to and I also recognize that significant changes in my life happened lightning quick. It wasn't this, oh, I looked for this for so long and blah, 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 and then finally found it. No, I have pretty much like a flash of lightning happens and all of a sudden I'm doing something new. So that's what happened with me with feng shui. It was this lightning, like, boom, oh yes, I think I'm going to look into that program, to all of a sudden sitting in that program a couple of weeks later and going, this is everything I love. So I've been on that journey for all these years. But I always knew in that course of that journey that it wasn't the be all end all in my life. I knew that it was going to be part of what I do, but I also recognized it as a stepping stone to something else. And this might be a stepping stone to yet something else too, because we can never finish our journeys, right? But I have to say that my training in earth energy started in that first program that I did, the first feng shui training program. And of course, feng shui is way back. It was called more like geomancy. And it was studying the earth and understanding where we should live and not live, all of that. That has now kind of been a little bit separated from feng shui, but it is really the heart of it and part of it. I think some people that practice feng shui are more focused on the interior design of it. I certainly know some practitioners that don't do dowsing. They don't do anything with the land. And that works. I mean, that works for what they do. I've always been called to not so much the interior design part of it. That's not my love, but to the earth. So having a call with a couple of friends a few months ago, the light bulb went off and I said, that is what I'm going to do. So I started getting synchronicities again. Things started like falling into my path, and just really making me recognize that, yeah, Spirit's calling to me. I need to do this. Hey, Jill.
Sorry I'm late. Hi.
That's okay. So I am just talking a little bit about where I got here, so you can listen to the recording. How I got here. Another thing that dreams gave me was this amazing experience with Archangel Gabriel. So remember I said I had no interest in angels. Well, in one of my training classes, I was given a free download of a book from Doreen Virtue on Archangel Gabriel. And I went, oh, yeah, it's free. I'll download it and I'll look at it someday. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, one day I went, oh, let me look at that book. So anyhow, one of life's synchronicities, right? I all of a sudden decided I wanted to read the book and I didn't have the PDF. So I reached out to all the people that I shared it with and I said, I must have gotten rid of it. So somebody shared it with me and I started reading it. And at the time I was writing my book. And Archangel Gabriel is the angel for authors and teachers, communicators. And I just thought it was fascinating that it came to me at a time when I was writing the outline for my book and really felt stuck. So I reached out. I said, okay, I'm going to try this. And I called out to Archangel Gabriel to help. And I kid you not, but within 24 hours, I had the name Gabriel come up everywhere. The weirdest places. I'm not going to get into details, but it was not a coincidence. And I know you know what I mean. It was definitely a sign. So I started tapping into Gabriel and asking for help and getting guidance in my dreams. And one dream one night, Gabriel took me up above the clouds, out to the atmosphere, into the universe. And we both looked down on the earth and he just kind of pointed. And I could see that there was points of light all over the earth, but the rest of the earth was dark. And I could see those lights started growing and expanding and connecting and making this amazing, like mandala, all over the earth. And I recognized that what he was saying was that my book would be a small part of growing that light across the earth. My book is called Creating Luminous Spaces. So it, that metaphor didn't lose itself on me. But in that, the work that I choose to do right now is to help spread that light. And I think everybody here who is interested in learning more about earth energy is also coming from that place of recognizing that we're in a time of tremendous challenge, tremendous strain. And I think I'm probably not unique in saying this. I might have even heard somebody else say it. But as we're kind of shifting into this new 5D consciousness, I feel like the light is getting stronger, but also the polarity of dark is getting stronger. I am really starting to feel it inside of me where there's this polarity is just the extremes are getting stronger. And there's a way that we can contribute to more light. And that is what I hope to be in this world, and hopefully you as well. So there's a little of that. I also thought it was really interesting in kind of brainstorming for the name of this course, I was with Kathleen here, and we were chatting, and she was saying, "What do you want to do with this course? What do you want it to be?" And I was completely inspired by the name Divining the Earth Feminine. And the two of us went, "Oh, yeah, that feels right. That feels good." And although it's a little bit of it's a mystical kind of name, I really felt it rang true. And that's why I called the course Divining the Earth Feminine. And it wasn't until I was reading something the other day, because as you can imagine, whenever you teach, if you've ever taught something, you do a lot of studying. And it's kind of the old adage, in order to learn, you should teach. Although I have all this information and experience behind me, I wanted to see what other people's perspectives were, because I prefer not to just talk from my own experience and perspective, but to give a little bit more background to create a fuller picture. So I have been doing a ton of reading, finding some amazing people, connecting to amazing people. And in that, I read the term geomancy actually means divining the earth spirit, in those words. And I just was like, yeah, how cool is that? I just love it. So I wanted to share that with you all. And I also wanted to share that I developed an interest in this other kind of branch of psychology called eco-psychology. And eco-psychology is really about how our mental health, or body, mind, and spirit well-being is inherently connected with the body, mind, and spirit of the land we live on. And we know that in feng shui. We don't really talk about it like that exactly, but we know that our house is a mirror, our home is a mirror of what's going on with us in our minds and in our bodies and in our lives. But the land is as well. We cannot ignore what's going on in the land and the state of the land and how it's impacting us. That is what geomancy is about. It's about finding those pockets of places where we can thrive, those really healthy, vibrant spaces. But unfortunately, in our modern day, so much of our nature that we build on is hurting predominantly because of what we're doing to it. So I really love, and I started seeing how eco-psychology was connected with what I was doing. So I bring a little of eco-psychology into what I do as well, just kind of another perspective, which I love. And believe it or not, they have a section of eco-psychology called Earth Dreaming, which is what I've been doing since 2002 and probably before. So there's just a little bit of a background to kind of where I'm coming from with this course. I would love to open it up to you to see if you have any specific questions about what we're doing in this program. Unfortunately, I had a bunch of people say, I wanna be on it, but I'm traveling. And I said, oh, send me any questions you have, but I didn't receive any. So it's probably that they just want to have an understanding of where I'm coming from, and it might be for you as well. So there were some things about the program that I didn't put up on the webpage, because I can be a little metal with my programs. I like to have things like structured and organized, and like, we're covering this, and then we're covering this, and these are the dates, and da-da-da. And I can be really, really detailed. I have had, and I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. I do appreciate that, but I also have felt the need with this program to be a little bit looser. And it's really rough, but I'm just kind of stepping back. But I'll share with you what my vision is, because you need to have some kind of parameters. Like, when is this going to start? How often are we going to meet? Okay, so those things are really important. I do understand that with our schedules. So the first class is going to be on Wednesday, February 20th. So a little bit more than a month. And I envision the classes to be held mostly on Wednesdays, but I do have guest speakers, which are going to really, I think, bring a fresh new perspective on some different topics. They're experts in their fields, and I know you're going to love learning from them. So those calls might be scheduled a little bit differently based on their availability too. But I do want to keep the time frame a little open, because I'd like to see what the time zones are of everyone that enrolls. I know I have people interested in Europe, and I've gotten as far as Hawaii. So those are pretty broad time zones. I want to make sure that, that I pick times that work for everybody. And if not, we might have to stagger times. So, everybody gets a chance to be on calls, maybe not every single call. We're going to see how that goes. So the calls themselves are going to be more of sharing and discussion and questions. It's really about the experience of doing this work. You could certainly go anywhere and read about how to dowse. You can learn about nature spirit and how to connect with Earth energy. You could do that all on your own. There are plenty of books out there. There's lots of websites. But what this program is going to do is give you a community where you can learn, and I am pretty thorough with making sure we cover all the bases, but you're going to learn a pretty thorough process of doing this work so that you can come from a place of knowing. But then you will, over the course, if you decide to take the certification, which is the 6-month period, you will come to your own kind of rhythm on how you personally connect to the natural world. We're all different. We're all not the traditional psychic that steps onto a property or even just looks at it in a picture and goes, oh, there's some heavy duty battle energy here, and I think people were executed. And we're not all that. And that is kind of my strength and my weakness. I am not a traditional psychic that knows just what happened. I have always felt kind of a lack in myself because I didn't have that gift. But my gift and my strength comes from having less of that heavy connection and being a little bit lighter in that space and coming at it from a different perspective. What is important with this work is recognizing when the energy is off. That's really what it comes down to. You don't have to know all the details of what happened there to do this work effectively. If that is you and you have that gift, that's great. I mean, that's added, but we're not all there, and we are not all able to tap into all of that detail. I think there's just a real strength in everything that we come to this work with. And I hope that this program helps people recognize their unique gifts and how they make that connection themselves. Because I do feel that when people sincerely come to this work, they have something to give. They have some part of this process of helping the earth through this crazy, chaotic transition to be more supported and bringing more light into the space. So our calls, like going back to that, I have handouts. I have websites for you to check out. I have books that are suggested reading, which you don't have to read them all during the course, but books that I would highly suggest reading at some point and maybe picking up one of them during the course. I will have assignments and exercises for you to do on your own. And then when we get together on the class, then that's when we're going to share and discuss what you've discovered, your insights, of course, questions, and getting kind of a group community feedback. And then we'll also, on those calls, do some stuff together. So it's going to be very experiential. That's probably the best word for it, which you don't get in reading a book or, reading a website. It's all about our experience and the development of your own personal gifts. So I mentioned there are 2 tracks. You can see that on the website. I've got the 3-month track and I've got the 6-month track. So I created this 3-month track that will parallel. It will be one group for 3 months. And then those people that are going to continue on with the certification will continue on to the next modules. The 3-month track, I am aware that there are some people that want this information for their own personal cultivation, their connection, and to work on their own land. And they have no interest in really doing this for clients. It's really just for themselves. So that's why I created that track. But that is a lot of foundation work that everyone has to do. And there'll be lots of fun, juicy things there too. And then for the people going on for certification, we have 3 more months of kind of some of that stuff that we did, but deeper and in different directions and new stuff. And of course, going over how to do I'm calling it a geomantic consultation, and lots of other things about how we can help facilitate the healing of the earth. So, I think I covered a lot of the detail here. I would love to hear any questions.
So we will learn how to do a geomantic consultation. Are we going to be required to have clients, like case studies that we go out and do?
For certification.
For the certification piece?
Yes, thank you. Yes, there will be a number of consultations. I will, you'll need to do a few on site and then a few remotely. I think the remote thing is really important. I think they're both very important. I think originally it's so important for you to be on site so that you can really tap into the energy there and see and observe and really kind of get into it. But remote is also, as we all know, remote energy healing is just as effective as if you were right in the room, right? It's this connection. It doesn't matter the distance. And a lot of the work that I do in this is all over the world. So, I've done projects in Beijing, Australia, British Columbia, and all over the US. So there's a call for it, and we should be able to do this work, as a practitioner anywhere. So yes, that's part of it. And I also would love to either have some kind of writing about the experience in the program. I think that would be really cool to kind of have everyone who's going for certification just kind of do some kind of writing, a few pages about what they've, insights they've had. Or if you're not a writer, because Some of us just aren't. It could be a dialogue. So, whatever way is better for you. So that will be for certification. Like I said, it's not that you need to adopt every single thing, all the procedures I've given you, and do them seamlessly. You're going to learn those procedures, and then you're going to go, okay, well, I feel like it's this way, or I feel like it's that way. And, oh no, I like this and this and this. And you're going to create your own thing. So when you do those case studies, it might be that process of you trying things, finding it, trying different ways, dreaming about an answer for a piece of property. It could be the meditation and visualization when you're on the property. It could be simply dowsing, whatever, or combinations of all of that and many other things. So I think it'll be really fun. And I hope, I do feel it will be very enlightening. I know that in every program I've done with dowsing and working with earth energies, I always come away like just awed by the experience. And that's what I plan on creating.
So the foundation is going to be basically dowsing. So regardless of the experience that you have coming into the program, everybody's going to learn a technique for dowsing. And then over the course of the program, we're just going to really take it to the next level in terms of really tuning in on a lot of different, like mind, body, spirit, almost.
Yes.
To connect deeper with the earth and our connection, and
Yes.
and how to apply what we know in dowsing and just to take it to the next level.
Yes. And so dowsing itself is not just using your rods or pendulum. It could be dowsing with your body. Some people can do that. And so it is, it's going to be a combination of techniques for sure. You'll get gut feelings or visualizations, depending on the space that you're in. And, so we're going to learn to work with our own yards or local park if you're not on a property. But we'll also be able to work in the larger scheme, like public land. I envision us doing like a group project where we work on some really industrial space to do a remote clearing. I want to kind of get all of our energies around that, and doing larger projects rather than not that working with individual homes and land isn't the right way to go. But in addition to that, it's like the bigger picture and spreading this light and healing further.
So EMFs are a big part of our homes and what we deal with, and they create all sorts of havoc. But there's also the EMF impact in the environment and on the land as well. And so I'm assuming that's going to be addressed in some way too, or is that kind of considered separate?
Yes,
the whole EMF thing.
It will be addressed in a smaller way. It's a smaller part of the program, but yes, we will cover that for sure. Yeah. So can I ask you guys a question? What calls you to do this work? I've told you all about me.
I like the idea of just connecting deeper with the nature spirits and really connecting with them. I have deep connections, I think, spiritually and to angels and stuff like that. And it just feels like the nature piece is just a different level of it that I haven't really gone into a whole lot. So that's what kind of fascinates me about the program. And then just, again, fine-tuning that dowsing. And I like the way how you said, you know, we're each going to find our own way of doing the dowsing and kind of come up with our own program or protocols for doing it based on what we resonate with. So I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if you go on YouTube and you Google, you know, dowsing, you're going to see like all these different ways that people do it, you know, protocols all over the place. I mean, it's pretty much, although it comes down to the same thing, you know, making sure that you have permission to do the work and then just doing the work. But the way people work is all over the place. So, you know, I'm just going to share what I've learned, how I do it. There's other ways of doing it. You'll find your way, or it may not be that type of, you know, using your tools dowsing. It might be more of your psychic connection. It all depends on who you are. Yeah.
I actually had several questions. I know my internet suddenly got unstable, but so I'm just wondering, having participated in your amazing courses before, did I fall out again?
No, we hear you.
No.
No, we hear you, Kathleen.
Yeah, no, I'll start over. So having participated in your courses before, and I'm just wondering, the focus, when you say certification, would this be strict with the land, and is the format, like in Feng Shui, we also have the dowsing and the exterior working with the land. So how is this different?
This is much, much deeper. This encompasses a lot more subject areas. You know, I basically, in any Feng Shui course that, if anyone's taken any Feng Shui courses, you might have had a segment on dowsing, and it's like, you know, usually a half a day or a section of a module that you devote to it, because there's so much other material in Feng Shui that there isn't enough time to focus on this. So this is, in a way, it's kind of like an advanced Feng Shui course, but I don't want anyone to think that they need to have Feng Shui background to do it. You do not have to have any Feng Shui knowledge to do this work. So it's just a real deep dive into this one area that we weren't able to do in a traditional Feng Shui program.
Okay. That sounds great. And also knowing that the more you learn about the Chinese and the old masters, Feng Shui masters, I mean, they don't even look at the interior of the houses, right? They just look at the land. So it would make sense when you say it's advanced. So.
Yeah, it's funny. It's advanced. It's ancient. It's more of the ancient view of looking at observing the land. But like I said before, they had the luxury of selecting choice pieces of land because it was all open. You know, population was so much less. You know, you could live on the water, right? Didn't cost, you know, a few $1 million to live on the water, which is very, of course, auspicious to live on the water. Like I said, I mean, just think about your own town and places that they've put houses and you're like, there's like no room around. And then they build these McMansions. So there's no room around the house. So people have like a little path to walk around the house. Like, what's that? You know, land has gotten so expensive that even the cheapest, well, I say cheapest, the poorest quality land is built on. So, you know, so what do we do with that? And that's where Feng Shui comes in nowadays to say, okay, if the most important part of the thing is where you build and where you live, and you live in a place that's got really depleted qi, well, it is what it is. So how can we make it the best it possibly could be. So that's what this work can help us do. And that's what we do in feng shui on the, mostly the interior. The exterior, we might suggest, wind chimes to attract the qi to the house, or lighting, or, little things like that. But this is really about the land itself and amping up the vibration of the land. And this is the gold. This is how we can really make an impact. And I didn't even mention, I'm assuming, but I can't assume that everyone listening to this knows how earth energies impact our health. So when I first started doing geopathic stress analysis or negative energy work, it was all just for people that had health issues. And I was just like, physical health issues, okay, you've got, heart disease, and we're going to look for geopathic, and I'd find it and I'd remedy it. But as you go through your experiences with clients over and over and over again, you start realizing, this isn't just impacting physical health. Well, of course it's impacting mental health. Why wouldn't it? So you've got depression, anxiety, all these mental challenges and emotional issues and spiritual issues that are impacted. And then, of course, it's also connected to the Bagua areas. If you overlay the Bagua, and we will talk about this a little bit, but again, you don't have to have feng shui training to understand laying the Bagua. I mean, so many people come to my courses they already have that done. They've read enough about how to lay the Bagua. So we'll talk about that, but we'll really focus on where these lines go through can be impacting that area of their life. And also we have kind of the green dragon and the white tiger pieces of the property that we'll review. So all of this has such a tremendous impact that goes way beyond just physical health, but it's big. Physical and mental health is really big. So when we work on this, we are helping people with their lives. Definitely bringing more light. Did you have other questions, Kathleen?
Yes. But I'm thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't ask it now. I don't know. It occurred to me that in Chinese metaphysics and feng shui, I suddenly don't recall anyone using dowsing. So I was just wondering, there's the landform, and so I'm wondering. The whole thing makes sense. I think it's a beautiful program. I'm just really excited about you doing it, going deep with the earth as opposed to repainting a chair. I think this is really, really important. But it was just a thought where I was like,
well,
Western or European, because suddenly.
Well, dowsing actually.
All my studies, I've never seen a Chinese dowsing rod.
I do believe they did.
Okay.
Branches. I do believe that they have some evidence of dowsing methods being used in China.
Okay.
Function with feng shui, but it certainly wasn't something that I guess was recognized. It was more of, like you said, looking at the landform, connecting with the spirit of the land, which is part of what this program is about.
Yeah, I did want to say, I mean, I would be greatly relieved if it didn't have too much feng shui, because it seems like the last couple of years, I'm like, I just want to get back to nature versus rules. So
yes.
But I don't know if that's going to be the case, knowing that you're such a strong feng shui person also.
Yeah, well, like I said, I have that strong metal in me, which is, procedures, which I think is great. I do, no matter what, I think having steps and process is extremely important. But, to begin, to start, to learn something. But once you learn it, then it's like, okay, but okay, I don't agree with that step. I really feel it's important to do this next or whatever. That is what I think is really important, is to have that flexibility of our intuition to know what's right for us, because we all do things differently. So, and who's to say who's right? That's the other thing. There's so much out there about earth energies and, oh, it's this way and that way. That is not how I teach. I say, this is what I've experienced. This is what I've learned. There are other perspectives. Please, use your own judgment as to what you feel connected with and what's right. That is so important in all my work. And before we get too late, I just want to say, I could take more questions in a minute, but I do want to say that anyone who's watching this, listening to this, I do have a special offer. If I'll put it up on the screen if I get my act together here. But if you enroll by Sunday, I have a special offer that you can have a private, personal 1-hour session with me to do anything you want, pretty much. We can talk about feng shui guidance on your space. We can do a remote space clearing and blessing on your home. Or we can do an Earth Dream coaching session, which is just something that, as you know from my sharing of the dreams, is really important to me. And I think we have to start listening to our dreams if we're not, because there's a lot of messages in there for all of us that are at a certain level in our spiritual development. We have to pay attention to those dreams. Gaia is speaking to us. So that's pretty much, let me see here. Oh, and also, because everything is happening at once, and I know the energy is just right, and that's why it's happening at once. But as you probably have seen, I have that workshop coming up at the end of March with Alex Stark, who is one of my amazing feng shui master teachers and shamans. And he's doing an earth energy connection program. And that is, the early bird deadline is this weekend, the same day, Sunday. So I just made it one day for you to remember. Enroll on Sunday if you can. And that course is quickly filling up. I mean, I have 20 seats and it's more than half full. It's going to be fabulous. So if anyone wants to attend that and do my program, I will give you a $200 discount on my course if you also attend Alex. And I believe a few people are going to be doing that. So that I've already heard of so far. So that does help a little bit. And I just want to let you know that I am looking for the right people to do this course. I have been so lucky to have attracted some amazing people. Everybody that has taken my feng shui course, there's an ongoing relationship there. We're forever connected, and we have a Facebook group, and there's just so much amazing energy. It's mostly women, but it's not exclusive to women. Just amazing support and love, and really looking to increase the light in this world, very sincerely and authentically. And I am so grateful for that. So if that is you, I invite you to join us for the Divining the Earth Feminine course. Just wanted to get that in there.
Maureen, can I just say thank you so much, because I just love what you putting together the dreaming and the earth, and also by you offering the certification, it's like a whole new breed of people walking out. It's like one door. I don't know if there's anything else like it in the whole world in this particular way. So I just want to say thank you for bringing those points together. It's exciting.
Thank you. And yeah, I think it's spirit is just directing me by what's coming into my path. I mean, flying into my path. I can't ignore it. It's like, okay, yeah, okay. Here we go. Here we go. That should be our motto. Any other questions before we end? Jill, you have any questions? You're on mute.
There we go. I don't really have any questions, but I have some very interesting commentary to share with you on just, your encouragement on the dream, the dreams, and to pay attention to them. And I have received some like downloads lately that are like baffling to me. And one of the things, so I see the synergies, and when you say the earth is, or the energy is just throwing things at you, and it's just like, so I'm obviously in your feng shui course now, and this area for some reason is the most intimidating to me, about connecting, and it really goes back to trusting my intuition and my connection and all of that. And so I enrolled in a course with totally unrelated, to this group of people, which is wonderful, just recently. And it's called, ready? It's all about learning to trust your intuition and access your spirit guides and all of that. It's called Activating the Divine Feminine Within. So I'm doing that, right, as trying to, because I appreciate when you said you felt like that was a lesser, natural psychic ability was like a lesser, thing for you, because I feel like that is with me too. And it's a little intimidating to me. So I'm trying to, and I don't know, it's just amazing how everything is flowing together, at certain times, that's helping me progress down this journey. It's just kind of all fallen into place if I will let it and trust it.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in it just because I think the earth needs, like you said, so much help, and I feel so connected with it. At the same time, I'm just learning to trust how to work with it, how to, can I trust my intuition? Is it thoughts? Is it my brain? Is it really a download? Is it, I'm kind of in that, learning phase. And so I don't really have any questions. I just think for me, it's just this whole thing is kind of falling into place if I'm just willing to kind of trust and flow with it. So I love it. Thank you. You've added so much to my life, and I sincerely appreciate it.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for
I got divine feminine being thrown all sides and directions at me.
That's right.
So clearly
there's a
energy wants me to connect in a way that I'm not super confident in yet, but I'm just so drawn to it. So
yeah, you're on the journey.
I'm on the journey.
It's fun. Buckle up.
Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, right?
Yeah, true. Great, great. And Donna, I know we hadn't heard from you, so I don't know if you have any questions.
I've got to run to, unfortunately, still my work call.
Okay, okay. Everybody, thank you so much for coming. And for all of you who have questions that weren't answered, please reach out to me in an email, and we'll schedule a time to talk, certainly. And we can do that by Sunday if you'd like. I am around. All right, everybody. Until I see you again.
Thank you, Maureen. I'm really excited about this program for you. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.